up so that he can remain in power. Wrote laws and legislations that benefit him. All right? So back into this. Let me finish this definition. And this was supposed to be a lesson about the Herodians. All right, it says, it says, bloodline Indians to the non-Indian races of Black, African American, white, or Latino Hispanic. All right, with the stroke of a pen or the click of a mouse, Native American Indian ancestry is suppressed on government records. The United States Supreme Court struck down Walter Plecker's Racial Identity Act in 1967 within Loving, Virginia, argued April 10th, 1967, decided June 12th, 1967. All right, and well, I'm not going to read all those numbers, but it says it makes race reclassification illegal, states that you do so by breaking supreme law. So these people, that's that what's that prescribing mischief by law? That's an unrighteous decree. So they're outright, like my nephew said many years ago, they're identity pimps, man, culture pimps. These Edomites are. So just as they've now, so that they can get over on the government and prevent these people from having real wealth, because a lot of people think, you hear a lot of Jakes talk and they'll say, oh, well, they got the casinos and they got this and that. No, they didn't. That went to them same white people that I'm talking about. These people right here on the screen, their descendants, no, a lot of them are stuck off on reservations, which are worse than any project you've ever been. The worst and nastiest project you've ever been in is still a step above these reservations that they got put on. All right? And this woman on the far right, she's a Seminole. She's directly from my tribe. She's not even a so-called Native American. This woman on the far right is a Reubenite. All right? Because the Seminoles are Reuben. All right? The two on the left are Gadites. The three on the left, the center, and then the one on the far left. But the one on the far right is a Seminole. Okay? And you got gatherings of many so-called Black Seminoles all the time. But are they recognized by the these five nations that get all these benefits from the government with their white chiefs? No, they're not. So that's going to bring us back to this. The Herodian family of Edomites. Okay? So I'm just going to read a couple paragraphs and a couple of scriptures and finish this up. It says, a study of Esau and the Edomite nation as depicted in the Bible would be implicated without consideration of the Herodian family, which descended from the Edomites. As Esau has descended, symbolize a world dominated by fleshly lust, resting wholly in one evil act. So, and when you go to the first Maccabees, chapter 1, verses 1 through 10, it tells you that wickedness came into the earth through Alexander, the Macedonian, son of Philip, and Alexander and his father, Philip, can be traced back to Agag, all right, Amalek, all right. Agag was the son of Amalek. Amalek is a grandson of Esau, Edom, all right, and the Amalekites rule the world today. All right, they're over there in that small country that's wreaking havoc on everywhere else in the world, and while they're screaming victim villains is what they are. It says, so the Herods reveal the ultimate extent of the world's moral degradation, symbolize the lowest depths of which humans can sink. But first, the history of the Herods' interesting Edomite roots. The Edomites' conversion to Judaism, and this is all found in the Apocrypha. This is why they removed the Apocrypha. Because in the Apocrypha, all right, that's why the Bible Destruction Group, which operated for 100 years between the 1700s and the 1800s, I forget the exact year, so I'm not going to quote it, but it was 100 years that they've succeeded in removing the Apocrypha from the Bible, and they teach in their false Christian churches to this day. All right, just like the video a couple days ago that I put up when the Israeli News Live, when Yana Banoun said that the rabbis in Israel said that the Edomites must be destroyed, and the Edomites are indeed. He said they're American Christians, but they're the European Christians too, as Stephen Banoon added, all right, to his wife Yana's statement. All right, and they are and they will be destroyed. They're still here. All right. It says in around 300 BC, the Edomites were driven out of their land in their capital, Petra. All right. And that's, look up Petra. All right. And you'll see those same eagles and columns that they build that same way to this day. All right. All their state buildings, their court buildings, and their museums are all built the same way to this day. All right. It says they were put out by the Nabatians, a desert people, which was probably Ishmael. Dispossessed the Edomites, because I'm not sure who the Natabians are. They either Ishmael or Ham, I would assume. The Edomites settled in the unoccupied land of ancient Simeon, south of Judah. From that time, they were called Idumeans, the Greek word for Edomites. All right, they were called Idumeans. So let's go to and once again, that information, and there's a lot more. The Edomite symbol of the world by Homer Haley. Okay? So let's go to this scripture real quick. Because these people are imposters all around. No matter how you slice the cake, they're liars and they can't be trusted. And what they do is they push and propagate false history, false narratives, and they do it all through contractual law. Mischief by law. It's like Joe Biden got in the office and started signing shit up the yin-yang. You think it's going to get better? No, it's going to get worse. More oppression, more lockdowns, and that much closer to World War III. Bring it on. People are tired and worn out. You even got people in the world saying they're tired. But let's go to that scripture in the book of Ezekiel, I believe, 36. All right? And this is a very powerful and condemning scripture because this is talking about Edom and Idumea, all right? It says, Ezekiel 36 and 5, therefore thus saith Yahweh power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Idumea in the past, the Idumeans never appointed the land of Israel into their hands. That was done by 1948ers, all right? And it was done with the Balfour Declaration, that Balfour document that was signed, I believe, right after World War I. Okay? It says, Ezekiel 36 and 6, prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and the hills and to the rivers, and to the valley, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. All right, so we borne the shame of the heathen, man. And these Idumeans have shamed us, renamed us, reclassified us, and that fulfilling the scripture of us being called by bywords. All right, we're not known in the streets. This was all a part of that crafty counsel in Psalms 83. All right, when it says, let the name of Israel be no more. They took our heritage away from us. And you've got our own people to come against the fact that we of the northern kingdom are Israelites as well. There are more relics found among the so-called natives than there was actually found among Judah. More relics, more evidence of the ancient Hebrew, of ancient scrolls, of the Torah. All that, and the fact that our people called on the name of Yahweh Bashem Nawashai in the dance around the fire. Yeh, hey, hey, wah, hey, wah, yeh, hey, hey. It was broken Hebrew. All right? And kept all manner of Hebrew customs and the Hebrew dress. As you can see these women, all right? Many with the fringes on their clothes, man. So with that, man, I hope this was an enlightening and eye-opening experience and edifying. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Nawashai, Bashem, Wakak Wadash, Wa Abba Babal, Shalom, Kwam Yasharallah.